I don't want my kids in 20 years who live in New York being told what to eat for breakfast by the Chinese. If I were the Chinese, the last thing I want in America is the 5 or 6 tech companies that are competing with me on DeepSeek having more compute capacity. I want to shut down every single proposal for every single data center in every single state. I want agitators, paid protesters. I want environmentalists. I want to shut it all down. So everybody wake up and smell what's going on here.
So you said you will go wherever the energy is, but I thought you were bringing your own energy to the project.
Turbines that burn very, very clean, require a lot less water, and you build those turbines first. So basically the data center game is about power. The Chinese don't want you to do that either because they know that that's how you're going to solve the grid problem. So we want to build as many of these power generators before we build any data centers. But
so where does the gas come from, the world's largest data center, the one you're planning in Utah?
The Ruby pipeline there. It's only 17% utilized.
This project is totally energy independent. It takes electricity from nobody else. It creates 100% of its own power.
Yes, that's 100% correct. And that was always the proposal. About 4 hours after the vote unanimously passed, the spiking of a bunch of IP addresses, cells inside of Utah, Elevate Strategies, taking the content from the CPP and jamming it down the throats of people in Utah. Elevate Strategies, also a cell operating inside of Utah. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? Who's paying you?
Well, hi, hello. It's me, Gabby Finlayson. What am I doing? Apparently, we've reached the part of the Stratos data center journey where Kevin O'Leary goes on national Fox News to accuse us of being cells for the Chinese Communist Party. Hi, Kevin. We are Elevate Strategies. This is Utah. You might not know it because you're from Canada. We are not taking the criticism of anyone who is wearing flip-flops and a suit on national television.
If you're that concerned about the Chinese, what percentage of the materials in the data center come from China?
Less and less all the time.
I read it's about 40 or 41%. I'm sure there are lots of people trying to influence this to their own benefit, and that would include foreign countries, maybe even China. But it doesn't change the facts about the project. I'm asking questions that I think are relevant. I'm not an agent of the Chinese. I'm not a socialist. Do you expect water rates in the state of Utah will go up?
Yeah, not because of us. I just think they go up anyways over time.
Your business causes water prices to rise. Are you on the hook for any of that?
Yeah, I think we would be. I mean, we're negotiating that. The amount of hype and hysteria over all of this stuff, I think it's being generated by our adversaries. It's also misinformation.
I mean, this is just a huge new thing, and I think it's understandable that people would be anxious about it. I don't think they understand it. I don't fully understand it. Let me ask, though, about why taxpayers should have to pay for this if it's a private business and your tenants are some of the richest companies in the world.
They don't necessarily have to do that. They just won't win any contracts. It's a competition. You go back and you say, what incentives can you give us to invest $15 billion in the first 1.5 gigs?
Why should taxpayers have to pony up for that?
They don't.
Well, of course they do. If you're getting a tax break and they're not, they're making up the difference. There's a state budget.
Okay, that's no problem. I can build it in Texas. I can build it in Jacksonville, Mississippi.
I mean, in other words, if you want to start a business, why am I, as a taxpayer, forced to pay for your business?
I'm going to hire 2,000 people, build a community center. I'm going to pay a lot of tax on the profits in your state, and we will build a school because our workers need a school, and.
I understand that you're gaming a system in place. You didn't come up with this. So the trade typically is jobs. These projects don't actually...
Well, no, it's also jobs and taxes.
But then you're getting a tax break, so that doesn't really make any sense.
But only up front. Tucker, welcome to America, buddy.
Lots of bad things go on for a while. But I think at some point it's worth assessing, like, why are we doing this? I run a couple of businesses and we're not getting any tax breaks. I think they're every bit as virtuous as data centers, but I'm not availing myself of that, and no one's offered. And I wouldn't take it anyway, because it's not the job of taxpayers to subsidize a private business.
It's a fair comment, but my job is to create a data center, create 2,000 jobs for long-term and 10,000 manufacturing at the beginning or construction.
2,000 jobs, and the power draw at peak will consume about as much energy as New York City does. But New York City provides almost 5 million jobs.
By building a data center that trains AI, that provides productivity to the entire nation, we create millions of jobs, high-paying jobs.
AI is going to create jobs?
Yes.
I thought it was going to eliminate jobs, net.
Just think about the new technologies we don't even know yet I'm extremely optimistic. What I'm doing is creating a whole new opportunity for my children.
You just said AI will create millions of new jobs. What are those millions of jobs? We can go through a list of jobs they say it's going to eliminate. Lawyers and financial planners and like the basis of upper middle class America. That's going away. They've said this. What will it be replaced by?
New science opportunities, new exploration into space, new manufacturing for robotics, for defense as well. Wars in the future probably aren't going to be fought with people getting shot in the flesh. It'll be one set of robots against another. I would be very concerned if I were living in Taiwan that one day my electricity just goes out and I get invaded by basically robotics. And that's what China wants, and they want to get there first.
I think it's very revealing that I asked you about jobs in the United States and you went immediately to defending Taiwan. How exactly does that result in American jobs? Where are these millions of new jobs?
Every time technology advances, it creates new opportunities that were not foreseen.
Is AI going to bring us freedom and opportunity? The concern that people have is that their jobs, and not just their jobs, but their purpose for being alive, will be replaced by machines. To which you say that's not true. Great things will happen. To which I said, okay, what are those great things? To which you talked about Shark Tank. So I just want to be a little more specific about what the upside of AI is, because then everyone will calm down and feel happy about your data center. My focus remains, is it good for the United States? Is it good for us? Does it make people happy? And I don't understand what people are going to do for a living. A lot of people are honest enough to say nothing. The oligarchs are going to send out checks to everybody, the bread and circuses.
The American economy is very resilient as it develops new sectors.
What happened after the Model T was rolled out? We had two big events. One was the First World War and one was the Second World War. The Industrial Revolution, like all technological change, caused dramatic political and social change, which resulted in the biggest bloodletting in human history. Like, it's worth thinking this stuff through. Yeah.
Unfortunately, capitalism and the freedom it provides is volatile, but it's still better than the alternative anywhere on earth, it seems. I've never seen a tax like this, and I'm hiring...
Well, I mean, if you take money from taxpayers, you should expect them to weigh in too and take their complaints seriously and not just dismiss them as agents of China.
And you're right, but...
It's a forced transfer of wealth from taxpayers to people who are richer than taxpayers. So, like...
Oh, no, they're not. You get a tax break to create 2,000 jobs. The taxpayer wouldn't do it if it wasn't the long-term outcome.
The taxpayer has no choice.
They could say no.
Well, they tried to say no to this data center, and they got laughed at, and then the governor, Spencer Cox of Utah, living symbol of our ruling class, said that the state has an obligation to do this, and basically, as you are doing, waved away concerns as like foreign propaganda. I'm just very concerned about replacing people, their purpose for living, which is to create, with machines. That seems like hell. I think it's fair to ask, how is this not hell? And no one has been able to answer it.
Trying to stop advancement of technology has always been a dilemma in capitalism and in America.
If politicians are handing you other people's money to do it, how is that capitalism?
Competition between states. I didn't make those rules up. I'm a football player on the field of capitalism.
Again, occasionally it's worth pausing and asking, are we doing the right thing, even if we've been doing it the same way for a long time? Do you see how other people find it unfair, one of the richest people in America, you, in league with the biggest companies in America, Amazon, Microsoft, that the richest people in our society would be taking money from people much poorer than them? That seems very unfair.
I'm not motivated by money anymore. I want to build something incredible. I want my legacy for my children to be something that they're honored by.
Right.
I want to compete against the Chinese. I want to beat them. I want to be part of the team that makes sure our way of life in North America remains the same for my children. I don't give a shit about money anymore. I don't need any more money. I'm very motivated to win.
It seems like AI will make it possible to know what every American is doing at all times.
I'm not doing nefarious things. I'm not a criminal, and I'm not stealing any money from anybody. So
the definition of nefarious changes. I mean, hundreds of thousands of American citizens were sent to concentration camps by Franklin Roosevelt because they were Japanese.
True. So you could have those concerns, but I ask you again, Tucker, would you prefer all of us that are developing these data centers put down our shovels while the Chinese accelerate theirs?
Do I want to become like China in order that we can, quote, beat China? Not at all. The problem with China, from my perspective, is that it surveils its citizens, limits their ability to say what they think, and to oppose existing power. That's why China is bad, I thought, because there are a lot of things about China that are great. But what I don't like about China is the totalitarian approach it has towards its own population. You're making it possible for our government to have the same approach, and our government already does. They're surveilling us at all times. Most Americans don't even know they're being watched. There are license plate readers, there are facial recognition cameras everywhere.
AI and compute and all this stuff, that's a side story. We have to keep all of our tech ahead of theirs, including data centers and everything else. They are our adversary.
I would think, since you disagree with the Chinese way of life, which is pretty civilized in a lot of ways, but the one way in which it's barbaric is that it grants its citizens no real rights. And so I would think that you would be very worried about aping their system, which we are now doing. Total surveillance. It's panopticon in China. We should create our own. Let's take 40,000 acres in Utah and make it possible for the government to know where you are at all times and what you're thinking, listening to you on your phone. Like, we have that.
What you should do is say, I want Kevin O'Leary to succeed. I want him to beat the Chinese in compute power. Then use the laws of the United States to make sure that you keep that compute power in check, to not have it available, to put down my shovel. I don't think people want me to do that. Even the people in Box Elder, the majority of them want me to hold my shovel and start digging.
How do you know that the majority
Because
of
they voted for it unanimously before the Chinese guys.
There was a referendum among citizens?
We actually went through the whole process that you have to do by their laws and were granted 3-0. Commissioners of the county said, we want to be
three
part of this.
people voted. The people of the
They're
county
elected
didn't vote.
officials. There's
How
no other
hard
way
is
to
it
do
for Kevin O'Leary and Amazon and Microsoft and Google to subvert
Yes.
3 county
Yes.
commissioners in rural Utah?
Tucker,
Pretty tough.
they asked us to come and they voted 3-0 vote. That's
Right,
how
you
it
got
got done. There's no other way
Amazon,
to do
Google,
it.
and Kevin O'Leary got 3 county commissioners in rural Utah on their side. Good work. Why don't you have a referendum? Why don't you let all citizens, all taxpayers, the ones who are paying for your project, why don't they get to vote?